Well, Happy New Year, friends. Melanie and I are so glad that you're stopping in and taking a few minutes with us today. Melanie, I need to start with a confession.
What?
So last Saturday, I had one of the biggest meltdowns of my entire life.
I can't even imagine that.
Well, it was bad. It was ugly. All my neighbors probably know about it.
Ah,
I'm embarrassed that Barry even saw it. And you know why I think it happened? Is that we've all been under so much pressure. You know, it was funny. My pastor preached on rest yesterday, or he has the last 2 weeks. And I thought it's so strange, isn't it? Because in 2020, we had more time at home, less things on our schedule. And yet I do not feel rested because of all the extra pressures of the isolation and trying to keep everybody safe and crazy politics and really stressful race relations. All I said, those are the big three, right? COVID, politics, race relations, all of those layers. And I had just hit my boiling point, my tipping point, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes. And so you and I had a conversation, Melanie, and we want to invite everybody in on this conversation about doing something different this year. We're going to do the Year of Simple on the Next Step blog because I think everybody is feeling this pressure. What about you? How are you processing all the
yeah.
stuff?
Um, we also have had a lot of hard things personally, many of us. So you combine all that, and yeah, I'm feeling weary. I don't feel hopeless, and I know I don't want, this is not about feeling hopeless. It's just
Right.
about feeling like it's okay to slow down a little bit, or to keep it simple, or to take time to rest.
Exactly. Exactly. So, how is this playing out in your everyday world? You said you've been doing a little New Year's cleaning out.
Oh, yes. Anyone who knows me knows that I love to get rid of stuff. It's kind of a strange thing.
Me too.
Um,
I'm in that boat
you
too.
do?
There's not a lot of us.
I do like to get rid of things. And so I was looking for a certain kind of cleanser to do some kind of cleaning. And I have all these cleansers under my kitchen sink, and I couldn't find the thing I was looking for. And I was like, what in the world? I don't clean that much. I don't need this many cleansers. So I weeded those out, and just gave away some or threw some away and just kept what I use. And so it made me think about that in other areas of my life. We've moved within the last year. So this house that we're in now, we've only been in a year, but I have boxes that I've never unpacked. And, they might have never been unpacked in the house before. Who knows? So I started thinking about how we can accumulate too much. And today I want to talk about that in the area of learning. Amy and I are both former teachers. Teachers love learning. Maybe you do too. But and there's just so much learning that we can do in today's world, right?
Oh my
We've got
gosh, endless resources. And I'm an input junkie. I mean, I'm a resource junkie. I love them, but I can get overwhelmed pretty easily.
Yeah. So probably like me, you have this folder of blog posts and podcasts and courses and things you're going to do one day. And I looked at that folder and I thought, no, I'm not going to do these one day. And I gave myself permission to get rid of some of those things. I kept some,
Mhm.
and put them in a separate folder. So if the idea of throwing away things is just, not something you can do, at least you can put them in another folder and give yourself permission not to learn everything.
You can put
So
them in the 2025 folder. We give you
there you
permission.
go. There you go. So when it comes to learning, there's a tipping point. And we all have a different tipping point when it comes to learning. And that tipping point is a scientific term that means the object that you're putting weight on can no longer bear the weight. And I thought that was just kind of a profound thought in today's society, but then more specifically with learning. There comes this point where we're trying to do all this learning and we just can't bear the weight anymore, and we've reached our tipping point.
And Melanie, I was thinking, I think there's a tipping point on learning for our minds, for our
Mhm.
emotions, and also for our spirits.
Very
That
good.
it's that whole person thing, that the tipping point affects all of those. Like, I got to my emotional tipping point last Saturday after
Yeah,
we
you
were
never
in
really said what
quarantine.
happened.
No, do what?
You didn't say what happened when you reached your tipping point.
Well, I
You
don't
don't
think
have
I have to. You guys let your imaginations run wild. It was probably twice as bad as that. Like, and Melanie, you know me. I just do not get that place. I
No,
couldn't remember ever. But anyway,
no.
yeah. So, but for learning, it affects all parts of us as a whole person. So,
That's a very good point. So, what are some of the signs, Amy, that you've reached your tipping point with learning?
I started thinking my biggest red flag when I'm getting near the tipping point is I begin to feel like a failure.
Ooh.
So it's like I'm learning things that I'm not doing. And if I'm not doing them, then I feel like I'm failing. I felt that January 1 this year because we had decided to do a staycation. Barry was taking time off. And so I was not posting, I wasn't blogging, and I was watching all the women in ministry around me do it and thinking, you're a failure, you're a failure, you're a failure. So not good for my mind, my spirit, or my emotions to have that
Yeah.
message going on.
Yes.
How about
Yeah.
you? What does it look like for you?
For me, it's just overwhelmed, just this feeling of overwhelm, and it paralyzes me.
Yes.
So I find that it's affecting my productivity. So that's the biggest sign for me is I'm no longer being productive. I'm no longer feeling a sense of creativity. So that might even be a separate
Hmm.
warning sign, but I'm not feeling like I have things to write about or to blog about, or I just feel paralyzed.
Yeah. And it's funny because we think we have to keep consuming all these resources so that we can be creative and productive. But at some point, it has a converse effect of what we
Right,
want.
a tipping point.
Yes,
I read
exactly.
verse that it's in Isaiah and it's used in a different context, but I was thinking about the tipping point as I was reading this verse. It's Isaiah 42:17. You are wearied with your many counselors. And I thought, wow,
Oh,
that can really
perfect.
sum up what we do to ourselves. We with our own choices wear ourselves out. And
It's
so
interesting.
go ahead.
There's a statistic that I heard, and this is several years old, so I'm betting it's worse now, that we in our internet age that we receive in 72 hours as much as our parents received, as much information as our parents received in an entire month. So we have exponentially more information coming at us, and it's not always a good thing.
Right, right. So think about your own tipping point when it comes to learning. And let's leave our listeners with some ideas for applying this.
Mhm.
Now that they know that they might have a tipping point, what do they do?
One of the things that I've done, Melanie, is that I have unsubscribed to a lot of things this past year. It was funny because when COVID hit and the shutdown happened, initially there were a lot of these kind of guru types that were pushing productivity. You're
I
home, you can get
remember.
stuff done. But that really died away, I thought, pretty quickly because people started realizing, no, there's an emotional weight that goes with this, and it just changes things. So one of the things that I've had to do is unsubscribe to some of the resources and some of them are ones that I like, but I'm just like, I cannot absorb that right now. So that's one practical thing. How about you?
Definitely that. I think I realized that sometimes when I think I need to learn something new, listen to something new, read something new, um, I think I'm going to miss out on exactly what I need to know. The tip that's going to help me figure this out.
Yes.
That's just probably not going to happen. And I think for me, I just need to pray, Lord, give me the resources I need at the right time.
That's a great tip, just discerning. And for me, another one is, I've cleaned out my email box. And I've also cleaned out my podcast library because I love podcasts. But
Yeah.
when I see them start to build up in my library and I haven't listened to them, it makes me feel again like a failure or like there's one more thing I should be doing all the time. So I've
Yeah.
cleaned that out. But I love your idea. I mean, whatever you're doing or not doing in with your learning, it should be led by God and discerning what do you
Mhm.
have for me, which is great.
Yeah. Yes, and we've both seen God do that for each of us. I also think that in ministry, we have to wear so many hats. You know, we have to learn about podcasting. We have to learn about marketing. We have to learn how to do our website, along with writing our manuscripts and crafting our messages, and then refining our messages, and just on and on and on. So I think thinking about those different categories of learning and deciding what's going to be in my schedule for this type of learning. Maybe I need to work on this first and then this next. I need that. I'm much more categorized, I think, than Amy is. Amy can wear more hats than I am. So part of it is just kind of knowing your own style. You
Yeah,
know,
your own capacity. It's really
right,
important. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So for this year, for those of you that read the blog, we are doing something new. Melanie and I brainstormed after my staycation was over, and both of us just feel the need for ourselves and for you to simplify. So we are doing the year of simple for 2021. And we've got several markers of what that's going to look like here on the blog. One is our main goal anyway, is that we want you to come away from the blog every time that you open one of our what we send out to
Uh,
you.
yeah.
What's that word? And so jumbled brain. We want you to be inspired, not overwhelmed. And so that is our goal for every single post this year, is that you would be inspired in a small way, that we're making small progress, but not pushing too hard so that you won't be overwhelmed. Melanie, you want to tell them any other details?
No, it's just that sounds great.
Okay.
If there is something really specific that our listeners want to learn, we'd love to know, and we'd love to address a blog specifically to that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Leave us some comments and let us know what you would like to hear about this year. Each one of the posts is going to be shorter this year, and we are going to focus on one takeaway. So we're not going to give you a list of 5 things to do so that you can start your podcast. We'll give you one step, one simple step. And Melanie and I are excited. We did some brainstorming about guests to have. And so we're going to have more guests this year sharing their expertise with you. Any last words, Melanie?
Sounds good. Looking
Uh,
forward to it.
All right. So hang with us this year. Let us know what you want. And we hope you just soak in this year of simple.